All right. Hey, guys. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nicole Schlegel, Duke class of 2002. I'm a director of digital marketing at Universal Pictures here in LA. So we're very excited to be with you along with my Universal Pictures colleagues, Tyler, Streuter, and Trevor, Shannon. You guys want to wave? So thanks for joining us tonight to kick off this DukeCreate and DEMAN live series. I'm so grateful to be together with you guys virtually and hope everyone is safe and holding steady. And note that we are recording this Zoom, so we can post the session in the DEMAN Lounge webpage, and you can see the link in the chat that I believe Kevin is controlling. And special thanks to Kevin Erickson of DukeCreate, Amy Unell of DEMAN, Duke Arts, Duke in LA, Duke in New York, Duke Alumni, Duke Independent Film Festival, Recess, Free Water Presentations, Duke Marketing Club, and Fuqua Marketing Club for collaborating. And we're going to be taking live questions during the episode, and the best way to do that is actually to put them in the chat, I believe. So you can post your questions there. And I'll also post my email in the chat if you guys want to follow up and have any other questions we didn't answer. And to start, so I'll briefly introduce myself. My name's Nicole. Born and raised in LA, went to Duke from 98 to 2002. I was a cheerleader there. We won a national championship for basketball. It was great, so fun. And moved back to LA, and I've been at Universal Pictures now for almost 13 years. And as a director of digital marketing, I help oversee a lot of the social media campaigns and creative that you guys see digitally. So I'm gonna toss it on over to this way to Trevor. If you can introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Trevor Shannon. I'm the digital publicist that works with Nicole. I started off in Chicago where I went to DePaul University, and after that, I went to an agency where I worked for about a year and a half called Allied Integrated Marketing, doing entertainment publicity there. And then after about a year and a half there, I moved to Los Angeles where I started at Universal Pictures. And when I started at Universal, I was doing regional publicity. And then after about like 3 years, I decided digital was the future and to join Nicole and Tyler over on the digital team doing specifically digital publicity. So I handle anytime that we do press interviews for our films with our talent, specifically for like digital outlets like a BuzzFeed or a Refinery 29, kind of handling those interviews. Also kind of heavily involved in influencer engagements and doing experiential executions with influencers and everything. So we'll get into that a little bit more. But for now, I'm going to pass it over to Tyler, which I think is this way.
I'm Tyler, also from Chicago, like Trevor, also same initials, TS. Another similarity we have. People in the office sometimes confuse us, but we are two different people.
It's actually horrible. Like our bosses confuse us all the time. Like it's bad.
Yeah, I get called Trevor plenty of times in a day. So, but yeah, I'm Tyler from Chicago. I went to ISU, the Redbirds, graduated in 2013, I believe. I came out to LA like right after that, started working at a small startup company that was doing independent film distribution. I was there for about a year, and then I moved over to work in digital at DreamWorks. And then I was an assistant at DreamWorks for a couple of years, and then we got bought and absorbed by Universal, and I was able to get a job there. Been working there now for I think 3 years. And so now I'm a manager there on the same team with Nicole and Trevor, overseeing social, digital creative, banners, so like banner ads and takeovers you'll see on websites like Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, and then also diving into like, we have the opportunity to like dive into cross paths with like publicity and stuff, so we get to work with Trevor on experiential and doing that fun stuff and pop-ups. So just anything that has a digital tie back, we get to kind of touch, which is fun. And yeah, excited to be here and walk you guys through one of these campaigns. Thanks for having me.
Cool. So we will go right in. We're actually going to walk you through the Trolls World Tour campaign. And the reason we actually picked this one is because, so basically Trolls World Tour, it's a sequel to a popular film from a few years ago, Trolls. And it was going to be our big family outing at the movies, theatrical debut. And then all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but we saw COVID creeping up. And we ended up having to pivot to releasing it on demand. And it was a big deal because it was one of the first movies, I believe, that was going to be a big event like that to actually end up debuting at home. And so we, instead of pushing the movie to next year like we did with Fast and Furious 9 and Minions, we decided to keep it this year. We had a lot of marketing was already in place. Like we had toys at McDonald's. There were so many promotional partners on this movie, and a lot of media was already running. So we thought it would be great to give something and families at home to do while they're stuck at home and give them some joy. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll walk through this deck. Cool. So just an overview of what our strategy was. So, Trolls World Tour, I don't know if you've seen the first one, obviously. Can't Stop the Feeling was popular from the first movie, and the movie's really based in music. And this one focused on new Trolls worlds and 6 different new music genres, a whole new world of happy and new characters. And, a big thing we wanted to focus on was leaning into the talent in the movie. And a theme of the movie actually too is diversity. There's a diverse group of different genres of music. There's a diverse group of trolls, and they don't know each other and they're not used to coming together. So that was also a cool theme we wanted to lean into, and unexpected friendships. So very upbeat, good message, film for the family. As you can see here, our social footprint is huge. We had, Justin Timberlake, Anna Kendrick, James Corden, Iconopop. I'll keep going, but we had a social following total of 342 million followers. And normally, you can see here, George Clinton, Flula. Kenan Thompson, who's like my favorite, who plays the hip hop troll Tiny Diamond. We normally rely, and we did on this as well, we rely so much on our cast to push out our film content when they're helping promote the film on their social pages. What we did run into on this was, because the pandemic, the stay-at-home order, all that was so fresh, a lot of the cast were very hesitant to push out the content because they did not want to seem insensitive. People were losing jobs, and so we really appreciated anything they could do for that. Just some more people. You can see Gustavo Dudamel, who's the LA Philharmonic conductor. Just a great group of people. Jamie Dornan from 50 Shades, Mary J. Blige, J Balvin voiced the reggaeton troll, which was so great. We had Red Velvet, who's a really popular K-pop girl group. We're in the movie as well, and people, if you go on Twitter, that was the character everybody wanted to see, the K-pop trolls, which is so cool. And then, so I think this main campaign, actually, I think Tyler, you're going to go into this one to just give a little overview of the custom programs and media.
Yeah, and just as a overview for this, what we'll be talking about for a lot of this can apply to a lot of our films, and then we'll get into specifics for Trolls. But for Trolls and then all of our films, we'll work with a diverse variety of platforms and partners. For Trolls, we partnered with a lot of gaming companies, online gaming companies that kids are on, like Zynga and Tapjoy, and that's the example you see there. And that's kind of a fun thing to do with this job, because we'll work early out with them and ideate on some cool ideas that we can build from scratch, some games. So for Trolls, there was one where it was kind of like a Guitar Hero or DDR, if you remember that game, where you just had to like stay in rhythm with the characters. And this is like a simple game, fun for kids, and it's just a good opportunity to integrate naturally to where kids are. So it's not just like a banner ad that pops up, which is also what we do, but for a movie like Trolls and kids movies that we work on, we really try to just integrate with kids in a compliant way too, because there are rules and you have to go through COPA and stuff, and to make sure everything's kosher on how you reach out to kids. But that was a big thing for Trolls, was the gaming side of it, partnering with them, and then obviously partnering with the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and all of them. Another big thing for Trolls was Symphony. So for some of the movies that we have under Universal, they get Symphony like support, meaning all of our sister companies will help support the movie. And so we worked with like Oxygen, Bravo, USA on doing some like cool executions. And I think Nicole might be talking about that later more, but I'm just giving an overview on kind of the main campaign beats. We work with all the gift platforms, so Giphy, Tenor, Giphy Cat, and all of them, and we'll give them some gifts to create or give them creative direction, and then get those up on all the platforms. The banners and homepage takeovers are something that I work closely on. And that's just all, anytime you're on websites and you see those little banner ads that pop up on the side, or it's like a homepage takeover, that's, if it's a Universal movie, we're touching that and we're kind of working on that and thinking strategically on the best way to, you know, take over a page for those platforms. So sometimes we'll get like really creative with the way, you know, if we're on, you know, Barstool Sports, it wouldn't be obviously for Trolls, but maybe for like King of Staten Island, which is another movie we worked on, we'll try to like gear it more towards that website and have some fun with that. We also do like Hulu slates. That's a big part of the campaign, and working with Hulu and those companies on, you know, we'll sponsor like a show. So when you're watching Hulu and it's like, this program is brought to you by Trolls World Tour, we work on that, and that's like a 7-second ad placement that we do for the majority of our films, including Trolls. But yeah, those are kind of the main big beats of the campaign and social that we touch, and then we'll get into the kind of specifics, I think, after here. Yeah, so this is also me. This is some of the production and long lead stuff that we work on, is what's covered here. So for example, we'll work on toolkits, which are basically short custom videos using the character's animation that the animators on the movie will actually work on long lead. And we'll first meet as a team and, you know, ideate and figure out like what the funniest and best ideas are for, you know, movie by movie. And so it could be anything from just like Tiny Diamond, who we leaned into heaviest on Trolls World Tour, having him like dance across the screen and do something like a funny little move. And then we'll take that toolkit, use it on banner ads. So when you see a homepage takeover, we'll use it on, it could be on the Hulu slate where he goes across the screen. We could throw it on bumpers that you'd see before, you know, a YouTube video you're watching. The purpose of them and the way we get them is to optimize them wherever we need. So we create them with the animators as alpha layers. So we can take that character out of any environment and put them wherever we want. And so that also helps when we work with our symphony partners. We can throw them into, you know, whatever environment we want. And that kind of goes along with custom animation. So at the same time we're thinking of toolkit ideas and ideating on those, we're also doing that for custom animation. We're currently doing that right now for Croods 2, which is coming out over Christmas, and then also for Boss Baby, which doesn't come out till 2021. But that just kind of gives you a relative scale on how long we usually work out on these, just because it does take the animators some time to complete this stuff. And so that's a basic overview on the custom animation and toolkits and what we did. I don't know if Nicole, you want to chime in on some of the specifics?
I'll chime in before Trevor goes into the publicity. The reason we included How to Train Your Dragon here, this is a perfect example of what we'd love to do on every animated title. You know, the last How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, Kit Harington, who, you know, Jon Snow from Game of Thrones was in it. He voiced one of the characters, and so we thought it'd be great to put our dragon from How to Train Your Dragon auditioning with Kit as he's reading for a adventure type medieval show that we didn't say was Game of Thrones. And so he interacted. It was, I mean, it's about a minute and a half, 2-minute video. And it was really cool. Kit interacted with, you know, Toothless the dragon, and our animators did this really cool, funny content. And really quick, I'll play right here. This is Tiny Diamond. This is a custom dance we had the animators do for TikTok for us.
Tiny diamond is my name. Come straight from my daddy's name. My whole body's made of glitter, and I'll throw it in your face.
So there's that. And Trevor, if you want to go into publicity.
Yeah. Also, that song that you guys just heard was stuck in all of our heads for like months because we were working on the campaign, and like you couldn't get it out of your head. And like it's so cute the first time that you hear it, but after you've heard it like a couple thousand times, it gets to be a little bit much. Just had to share that little tidbit. But also another long lead element that we do actually during production in the publicity world is edit bay visits specifically for animation films. And really what that is DreamWorks is an amazing company and are really welcoming for, you know, press and people coming to campus just to be involved in the process while they're actually still like creating the film and working on the animation and everything. And it's really great to be able to take press to the campus just to see and meet some of the animators, some of the artists, just because like you get to, they're very, very passionate people. And like you get to see them bringing their art to life and creating this film. So it's great to see their passion, but it's also great if you're trying to explain a certain element of a film, or there's something that's kind of, you need to give context to a little bit. And so we bring press into the campus. They'll like do kind of mini interviews with different animators, like the head of story. They'll get to kind of see the process. They'll get to see some storyboard footage, and they're not able to like take photos of all of that stuff and post it, but just giving them the context, and then they'll write about it in pieces. And we usually have those pieces held until like we do a trailer launch. So they would have gone to campus for the edit bay visit during production while the film was actually being made. And that may be like 6 months to a year before the trailer launches. So they'll hold those pieces. But then once we launch the trailer, then we'll have those pieces go. And again, it could give context to the story or just be an additional kind of boost, but that's kind of like guaranteed publicity that we'll have kind of accompanying the trailer that kind of like helps generate buzz about the film. Another example from another title would be Queen and Slim that we worked on this past November. And a part of that film was the director, Melina, purposely chose 6 photographers to work on the film. And like we really wanted to highlight their work and how important they were to the story of the film and everything. So there was long lead set visits where our multicultural team took some of their press to the set, and then got to talk to some of the photographers, and they were actually able to post some of the specialty photographs along with the trailer as well. So that's just kind of another example from like a non-animated film where it was a set visit as opposed to an edit bay visit.
Cool. And now when we get into post-production, and our main campaigns usually start with the first trailer debut. And so, and sometimes, especially for animated titles, we have 2 to 3 trailer debuts. This first one, I believe, was last fall. Or was it last summer? Oh my, everything's like blending in with my head. But we ended up making these rock hand posters for all of the cast. So there were about 21 posters, and we divvied them out to all the cast members, asked them to tweet it out. And this is where we lean into the cast really heavily. I believe Justin Timberlake or Anna Kendrick started out by saying something like, "Hey, Justin, you know what time it is?" And he replied, "It's time to rock." And he posted his poster, and then she replied with hers. And then, we just had a whole Twitter thread of all the cast posting underneath and everything. It was really cool. And I believe the next day was the debut of the first trailer. And then getting press pickup, which Trevor will talk about, is also a big part of, getting word of mouth out about this, when we debut content like that.
Yeah, so anytime that we do a trailer launch, as soon as the trailer is live, then I'll do a press outreach to all the press in our database, just to kind of let them know that the trailer is out. It could, if it's an original property, like that's kind of the first time that they're really like hearing about it. Like they may hear early on in the trades that this film is in the works, but generally, like when the one sheet and the trailer are out, that's kind of the first time that they really have context of what the movie is about. When it's when it's an animated sequel, it's a little bit easier. Obviously, a lot of people were familiar with Trolls, but it's obviously a very nostalgic property, and people were very, very excited for the trailer. So especially when it's the first trailer, that's when you see a lot of press pickup. And people, that's how you kind of, again, to Nicole's point, that's how you kind of generate buzz and word of mouth as well. And then sometimes just another element of, blasting out the trailer, sometimes, especially when it's an original property, we may do like watermarked links of the trailer, and then we'll send to like specific press, like top tier outlets, just so they're aware of it in advance to make sure that they're posting, especially if you're posting like around a holiday or something. That's when it's easy for those things to kind of be overlooked. So sometimes we'll give press a heads up under embargo that this is coming, and they're able to kind of take a look at it. It's also another good tactic if something is a little bit like some trailers need a little bit of context, or people just need kind of a second to think about it and kind of write up their piece. So we'll do that for those type of films as well.
Trevor, do you want to chime in too on what we did for Queen and Slim, where we screened the trailer ahead of time with multicultural, especially a lot of Black press.
Yeah, so another tactic that we'll do, and we've done this for other films, including Queen and Slim, is we'll do kind of like a trailer launch event where the director will do kind of do an intro of the trailer, kind of give context to the film or the scene that they're about to see, and then press will watch the trailer right there in the room, and then there'll be kind of like a live Q&A afterwards. And so we did that for Queen and Slim, and the director, Melina Matsoukas, was in Los Angeles and then like taking questions, but it was also live streamed in New York where our press were also there so they could ask questions as well. And again, it's just kind of, it gets people excited about the film. You get more press pickup, and it also just allows you to kind of give context to things. And it was also a way for us to identify our African-American press and to make sure that they were seeing it and to kind of make sure that their voices were being heard and like that the right press were being able to see it and have that opportunity to speak with Melina, and that Melina was able to speak with press. And there was kind of like a direct dialogue. So it was for certain films, it makes a lot of sense to do it like that.
Yeah. And Trevor's going to chime in on this one too.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys don't get tired of hearing my own voice. I'm already tired of it. So thank you for listening to me drone on. But another kind of long leads tactic that we do are custom content days. And that's typically about 2 to 3 months before a film is released. And it's kind of like a long lead press junket in a way. But it's usually done like on a sound stage with some kind of like graphic for Trolls. Our creative content team actually did an incredible job, and it was like a music stage, and it was so cool. I thought they did a really good job with it. But it's usually, and sometimes even on custom content days, there'll be multiple sets. So there may be a white cyc, so it's like or a green screen. So it's like if you have like visuals that you need to add or anything like that, or do things in post-production, you can film it up against that. And then another set will be kind of like thematic to the film. And that's in the case of Trolls, it was kind of like a music stage with like, you can see like on the far left image, kind of like drums in the background and everything. So some of the content that we capture at those content days are like promos for, like there was an Amazon Alexa promo where you could ask Alexa a question and Justin would give you kind of like soundtrack listings and everything like that, and Justin would respond to you. There was also Justin and Anderson Paak did a Genius interview where they kind of like talked about some of the music in the film, and Justin was actually a music producer on the film, so he was obviously, his life is music, so he gets very, very passionate about talking about the music. So he and Anderson had like a great back and forth there. It also gives us the opportunity to do some things on social. So I was kind of involved with the Tiny Diamonds Q&A just from a talent perspective, but also Nicole and Tyler just were able to kind of create this amazing Q&A, which we actually sourced questions from fans in advance, asking them to ask Tiny Diamonds questions like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite movie, and things like that. So we banked those questions in advance. And then we had Kenan Thompson actually answer those questions in character. And it was incredible. And just also a side note, just working with Kenan Thompson, he's incredible. I think it just comes from like just him being on Saturday Night Live, but like a lot of talent, we won't say names because we don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but some talent are more prepared than others, and it takes them like 10 times to read through a script, whereas like Kenan read the scripts and was like, he had everything perfect on the first try, so it was incredible. But so he recorded all these answers for the Tiny Diamond Q&A at the content day, and then Nicole, it was a couple of weeks before release that we did the Q&A, right?
Yeah, I think we
remember
before the next trailer drop, I think.
Yeah. So again, that's another kind of tactic that we do like around like a piece of content going live or around a trailer, just so it kind of like increases buzz on social, in particular Twitter for this. But it was actually a lot of fun, and like it's cool for fans for their questions to actually be answered by talent. So that was a fun thing that we were able to do at the content day.
Cool. And then this is Tyler's jam. He's gonna get into the AR lenses and filters because he spearheads a lot of stuff for our team.
I just had one last thing to add for Custom Content Day because it was my favorite thing that I got to be kind of a part of, which was on Trolls. The multicultural team spearheaded getting Justin Timberlake on Hot Ones, which is like my favorite show on YouTube. So it's that show, First We Feast, run by Complex, where they eat the hot wings and he's interviewed. Something like that, if you're familiar with that show, is something they would also shoot on Custom Content Day. So yeah, just wanted to throw that in there because it was like one of my favorite things to see in person.
Tyler has actually done the Hot Wings Challenge himself, so he is all in. Tyler, you got all the way through it too, didn't you? You did the hottest one.
Then, yeah, they got me the sauces for my birthday in the office, and I had to eat them, you know, right there. A couple other people joined me, but it was pretty intense. And then did it again with Sean and some of those guys after Justin's interview. It was pretty cool to do it there. But yeah, just want to throw that in there. So AR lenses and filters for this movie, this is, I think, in my opinion, one of the cooler lenses that we've done. We had a really cool one also on the Ma campaign. It was this awesome movie with Octavia Spencer, kind of like a horror movie, Blumhouse, very niche movie, but we kind of loved it internally, where we had Ma like FaceTime you, and like it looked like you were getting a call from her, and then all of a sudden your like mouth was being sewn shut because that's something she does in the movie. But besides that, I think this Trolls Snapchat lunch was one of the cooler ones that we did. So on this one though, we took 6 of the genres of music from the movie, and you were kind of trollified and turned into one of those characters from one of those worlds. So there was a little like carousel thing on the sidebar of Snapchat. You would pick, you know, which ones. We had pop, techno, country, hip hop, rock, and something else. Yeah, classical, everybody's favorite. And every time you would go through, you'd not only be turned into that character, but music that we sourced and got licensed for the movie would play. And so there was like a 10-second clip that would play with that. And I think it was one of Snapchat's most successful film lenses of all time. It had like one of the highest engagements as far as time spent on the app. I think it was like a minute or something that people on average would spend if they would interact with it. And so that was another thing that we just worked on far in advance. We had plenty of time and just kind of got it into a really good place to ultimately launch, because then something like that would be exposed to, you know, millions of people, because we'll do media buys. And so there was one day specifically where it was blasted out to the entire world. And then we also had specific days where we would like have it geo-targeted at specific places across the US, or we would geo-target to like events. We'll take stuff like this and work with the field team, or to make sure that this stuff is available at like field screenings. So if you have campus screenings and stuff, we'll put like the snap code for something like this on the screening card that you would see while you're sitting waiting for the movie to start. So anything like that, lenses, filters, we'll kind of work on long lead. We also did a filter, which was on Instagram, which is the one on the right. The one on the left I want to mention is Nicole's daughter, very cute daughter, Sage. I think that video plays.
Yeah,
I don't know if it has sound.
Yeah, I'll play it after you're done.
And then on the right is Keenan. So that was another thing that we captured, I think, at the Custom Content Day, where we asked the talent to use our lens. So for this case, it was the Instagram filter that we worked on with one of our vendors, where it's like, I don't know if you've seen the spinning carousels that go on your head. I'm sure you've seen like, which Disney character are you? There was a lot of popular ones, like which meme are you? We did which genre of music are you? Initially we were debating between which troll are you and which genre of music are you, but we kind of wanted to lean in the genre of music part because we thought that just had a wider appeal and more people would likely interact with that instead of people that aren't Trolls fans and don't care what troll they are. So this way we killed 2 birds with 1 stone by putting the genre of music at the forefront and then also putting our character in there for the branding. And so, yeah, so the thing would spin over your head and then it will land on a random one. And that was something that we got, I think, Anderson Pock to do, Keenan, Rachel Bloom, and then Ron Funches. Those are all cast in the movie. And so I think we could watch those
Yeah,
videos.
I'll play just for a second because this one's kind of long. We're missing teeth. That was her favorite. And then here's Keenan.
All right, what's my music vibe? Make sure y'all check out that trailer coming out this Friday. Techno.
So yeah, that's.
And then of course, oh yeah, sorry, go ahead, Taylor.
I was just gonna say that's what we did on that movie, and I was just gonna mention that we try to do that for most of our movies. Some movies don't lend themselves always to an AR, like a lens or a filter, but it's always a really fun way to like reach people and stuff. I don't know. I like working on those, so that's it.
Yeah. And then of course, had to include TikTok, which, you know, is it's the app. It's the most popular app right now. But so we actually did 3 challenges on TikTok. We worked with a vendor who handles a lot of, should say relationships with a lot of TikTok influencers. And so what we did a Pinky Promise challenge, which was a duet, and basically people reenacted a scene where Poppy and Biggie are pinky promising each other. And then a Tiny Diamond dance, which you saw earlier, where people had to reenact and dance with Tiny Diamond. And then Smooth Jazz Troll, which is voiced by Jamie Dornan from 50 Shades of Grey. And Smooth Jazz Troll basically hypnotizes people with his jazz flute or his jazz clarinet. And so there's a really funny scene in the movie that we asked influencers to reenact and use the sticker, you know, Jazz Troll sticker, and also the really cool face effects that are in TikTok. And of all the videos that were created, more than 47 million views, which is awesome, and more than 8 million engagements, which is like likes and shares and things like that. So that was really cool. Actually, it probably has a lot more than that. I grabbed this number from a couple months ago. So TikTok is a big priority for us. We're working on ideas for that for Crudes too right now. And I believe there was a TikTok challenge for the King of Staten Island as well. And then 10 hours of Smooth Jazz Chaz, part of Trolls, if you've ever seen it, the first one and the second one, they're like acid trips a little bit. They're very trippy, weird, awesome movies. And so we wanted to lean into that a little bit. So we ended up doing a 10-hour looping stream of the Smooth Jazz Chaz playing his clarinet. We did a live stream on Twitter and YouTube. Our stream on Twitter got more than 3 million views, 5.3 million impressions, 2.5 million viewers, and 100,000 engagements, which is huge for something so weird and random. But that is the internet. So we thought that was just a fun thing. And again, it builds awareness for the movie. And people just, you know, it's like the weird stuff you want to see on Twitter, which is cool. Let's see. And then, yeah, main campaign. So music is a huge part of both movies. For this one, Justin Timberlake returned as a music producer, and he produced with Ludwig Göransson from Childish Gambino, who also won the Oscar for scoring Black Panther. And just so many amazing collaborations on the soundtrack. So we worked really closely with our Universal Music film group, who helps put together the soundtracks and scores for our movies, and also RCA, which was the record label that put the soundtrack out. And we did a bunch, as you can see in the bottom right, Justin Timberlake and SZA for their song. They did a music video, which we debuted across Vivo and their social pages. Anna Kendrick joined Anderson .Paak and Justin for the music video for their song. We did a bunch of lyric videos. And we also did a cast video, which you can see on YouTube, for this song called Just Sing, which is like a big anthem at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert, when all the trolls come together. So, you know, you have Mary J. Blige, George Clinton, Iconopop. It's just so great. And so the music video debuts are also a big part of our campaign beats. Again, building awareness. Also a way to get a slightly older audience interested in the movie. So that was cool. And also, I mean, who doesn't love Justin Timberlake, right? And then this is Trevor, back to some more publicity.
Yeah, so Nicole had kind of set the stage a little bit just about how for Trolls we were, you know, kind of starting to just get into the campaign when COVID hit. And that's when kind of like a lot of the normal publicity style tactics, like a press junket and everything, would kind of take place about a month before release. So like right as we were about to like start that, we had to hit pause on everything. And then there was like a couple weeks of like trying to figure out what was going to happen. Like, were theaters going to be open? Was it going to be entirely on demand? So that was just kind of all a process that we kind of had to take into consideration. And ultimately, you know, there was also some concerns just from like the talent perspective, understandably so, because that was also, I don't know if you guys remember, like Gal Gadot put out a video, which, and you know, that received some negative feedback because it was a lot of celebrities in their homes who were, you know, they're in their glorious mansions, and then they're just singing while they're, you know, the rest of us are, you know, struggling to get to the grocery store and everything. So we just wanted to make sure that we weren't being tone deaf, and that we were protecting our talent and doing the right thing, and also just giving everyone a beat as like the world was adjusting to this new virus. So the publicity was really tricky, and ultimately, once everything kind of got sorted and there was a game plan for, that the film was going to be on demand, we really wanted to prioritize talent appearances. So what we did was, we did a couple of national publicity hits where, Justin went on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, just because he and Jimmy have a great relationship. They always have like a fun back and forth. They do some fun games. Kelly Clarkson, who's actually in the film as well, the cast went on their show. So we were pretty strategic about going on like certain late night shows. And then for the digital campaign, we really focused on like bringing the premiere to people in their homes and kind of doing a Twitter watch party, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But I listed some of the digital publicity outlets that we would traditionally work with. So again, BuzzFeed is one of the bigger outlets. IMDb, Collider, Collider kind of specializes in like the film geeks, film nerds, but also kind of just reaches a broader film audience. And then also sites like an IGN and like a Nerdist, gaming sites. Animation tends to be very, very popular with the gaming community. So we usually always try and like talk to those outlets, and like some of the things that we would do at a press junket with some of these outlets, for example, like BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed loves their quizzes. I feel like their users love quizzes. So like oftentimes, like ideally we would have been able to do something with Justin and Anna Kendrick where they're picking which troll they are and whatnot. So we unfortunately had to put kind of a lot of this on hold, and then eventually it wasn't able to happen at all just because of the world we were living in. But we kind of had to pivot to other methods, and that mainly was the Twitter watch party that we'll talk about in a little bit. And then I think the next slide is influencer engagement. So this was another element of the campaign that we kind of had to take a beat and kind of like readjust our strategy, because oftentimes with films, we may do early screenings for influencers, tastemakers, celebrities, just to get them to see the film, and then hopefully they're going to post about it on their social platforms. We have a really good relationship with the Kardashians, especially for Trolls, because somehow they're all obsessed with Trolls, which is great for us, and we love it. It's a fun movie, so we're glad that they enjoy it. But they were posting about the film before it even came out, so they were an audience that we planned to tap into, and we actually oftentimes set screenings for them just so they can see the film, again posting about the film. But we ended up having to pivot, and because theaters were closed, we weren't able to do like any private screenings or anything like that. So what we ended up doing was they saw the film with the rest of the world, which was really kind of exciting. Like we purposely didn't do any advanced screenings because we wanted, we were all kind of in this weird environment where we were all kind of stuck in the home. So we purposely didn't do any early screenings just so everyone was kind of seeing it at the same time. But a few tactics that we did, if you look to the far left, you can see Kylie Jenner's post. And our creative advertising team actually did a mock-up of Kylie and Stormy trollified, and we actually sent that over to Kylie, and she actually posted it and loved it. And Stormy is obsessed with trolls. any of you guys follow them on on Instagram, you'll see posts and everything. Another post to the right of that was Kim Kardashian. She posted of the Trolls coloring book, and then also had photos of all of her kids singing and dancing to Trolls on opening day. So it was kind of a fun beat of everyone was kind of seeing the film together, including celebrities and influencers. And then over to the right of that, I'll talk a little bit more about it when we're into talking about the Twitter watch party, but here's like 2 examples of 2 posts. The first post was from a parent blogger who we actually paid to help to support the film and to tweet about the film and participate in the watch party. And then below is actually celebrity Tiffany Thiessen, who we actually just, reached out to. We have a relationship with certain celebrities, and, just encouraged her to watch along on opening day. And she actually posted an adorable photo of her kids getting ready for like the watch party, which was great. So these are 2 tactics. Like paid and organic posts have their pros and cons. Ideally, you want both for a campaign. Like for the Twitter watch party, again, I'll talk a little bit more about it, but the paid support is kind of like guaranteed support that is going to be there. But then you also, a part of that is you're going to have that hashtag ad there, which doesn't look as, it obviously doesn't look as authentic. It's not as exciting. Like it feels, it's, people have mixed feelings on it. But anything organic, like the Tiffany post, that's going to be, you don't have to have hashtag ad on there because you're not paying it. It's just kind of, you hope that they post, which oftentimes they do. Kind of some other campaign examples are for Abominable. We actually did, Jason Momoa came to a screening. So he actually did a post with him and his family. You can see right there with Everest in the background, the big furry guy there. And then another example that we did of a screening was for Queen and Slim, and we did that for Zendaya, and she actually, that photo is a photo of her at the screening of Queen and Slim. So those are just kind of some other like celeb engagements that we've done in the past before.
And so this part, so when we were told, okay, theaters are completely closed for sure, this movie is going to be on demand, meaning you can stream it, Apple, Amazon, Vudu, Fandango now, all those options. And so we were tasked with, all right, how do we make this streaming movie into an event? And so with this, we did a few things. And Tyler can chime in because he actually just had to help the King of Staten Island team do this, where they, building a site. On the left, we did a watch at home party pack, which is basically all this downloadable book of just printouts and recipes and things people can do at home. We're like, bring the theater into your living room. Here's snacks you can make, get your popcorn, pretend you're actually at the premiere. And then just on the right, real quick, I'll play this. And Tyler, you can, if you want to chime in about the website or everything. This is just how our social messaging had to change. So normally we'd be like, get tickets now, get them. And now it's like, at home, on demand, the world premiere in your living room, at home. So we're just driving that message home. Tyler, if you want to chime in about the site.
Yeah, and just to speak on what Nicole was saying, it was especially important because, like we mentioned, Trolls was the first really of its kind to be a huge theatrical release that was now all of a sudden going to be available at home. So coming up with that messaging was super important. There was plenty of meetings to decide what it would be. We ultimately landed on, the world premiere comes home, because we thought that really just drove home the point that this is like a world premiere. You're seeing it supposed to be in theaters at your home instead of just like watch on demand now, which is what we are really using now for other films that are coming out now, because it is obvious at this point that everything is on demand still. So King of Staten Island is a movie that I just finished working on. Came out last Friday on demand. It's with Pete Davidson. It's a Judd Apatow movie. Really good if you haven't seen it yet. It's on all the streaming platforms as well. But that's a movie where now we're just able to drive that messaging of, watch on demand everywhere now. Whereas with Trolls, we had to really focus on how to make it drive home the point that this was the first of its kind. It's a big movie you're seeing for the first time because it was so new for, you know, us and audiences just everywhere to see what was really going on. So with that, we had to not only change out all of our social assets that we were already working on and banners and stuff with the new messaging, but we had to create a brand new website, which is where we drove all of our media to. So anytime we ran like media on any of the social platforms and stuff, or YouTube, anywhere you could click out on one of those banner ads or a social post, anytime you click out, it would now drive to this new PVOD, Premiere Video on Demand website, where leading up to release, the messaging on it and kind of the point of it was just a landing page that showed people where you'll be able to get it. And they were playing with pre-order for a while, but now with King of Staten Island, they're kind of fading away from pre-order because they're seeing that people don't really care to pre-order a video on demand movie. They'll just kind of go on there when it's available. But so building out that site was something we just threw in last minute, and now it's a standard with our websites now. So for like King of Staten Island and stuff, we were able to have some time to really finesse it and work on it. Whereas with Trolls, we had to do everything pretty last minute. But yeah, that basically covers that kind of main pivot.
Cool. And we just have 2 more slides up. I know you guys have some questions, so we'll get to those quickly too. This is Trevor, you can totally take this over, the awesome Trolls watch party we did on release day.
Yeah, so unfortunately, like in the world that we were in, we couldn't do a normal premiere. You know, everyone was kind of stuck in their home, so we had to kind of strategize what was a way that we could bring this film to people in their homes. What was a fun way for everyone to kind of enjoy it together. And ultimately what we came up with was doing a Twitter watch party where everyone was gonna hit play at the same time on opening day and watch it together, along with, you know, our director and our cast tweeting along. People could ask questions, engage in different ways. So in a couple of ways that we actually teased the watch party was the amazing activity pack that Nicole and Tyler created was on Monday of the week of release. We sent that out and sent it to press and to family influencers to kind of get the word out, and so they could get ready for like their premiere at home. So it included like a red carpet, like a red construction paper, kind of getting ready to watch the film at home with their families. So we sent that out along with information about the watch party like Monday, the week of release. And then on Tuesday, we posted the graphic, just kind of giving more information about the Twitter watch party and who it was going to be hosted by. And if you guys remember from the social footprint that Nicole took you through, our director, Walt Dorn, actually didn't have a Twitter account, but the week of release, we made him create a Twitter account, and he was actually great. He was completely open to it, wanted to support the film. So he created a Twitter account specifically for this, just to kind of talk to fans, to be able to answer questions. And then the other hosts were the McElroy brothers, who were actually, I know we're starting to run out of time and we want to get to some of your questions, so you guys should definitely look them up. They're actually podcasters who started a whole campaign for themselves to get into the film, and they eventually were able to get like kind of cameo roles in Trolls World Tour. Which is really, really cool. There's a Vanity Fair piece on them that you guys should look up because their story is really fun, but they actually have a great relationship. They formed a great relationship with Walt, so we thought of no better people to host the watch party than them. So and another fun thing that we kind of did to Nicole and Tyler worked on this was they actually created a photo booth, a virtual photo booth that you can see right there in the middle, and you could take a premiere selfie with the Trolls. And then so on opening day, we actually had a Twitter event page, and you can see that graphic on the far right. And that's where actually all the hub of activity for the watch party took place. People could go there, they could click on different assets, like the selfie booth, as well as we had some other fun things, like there was videos of how to draw a troll and some behind the scenes footage that they could all kind of click on. And then we actually did a 10-minute intro, kind of getting people excited to hit play and watch the film together. Justin and and Griffin and Travis and Walt all kind of did a fun little intro and everything. And then everyone hit play at 10 o'clock. And then our talent actually started to engage as well. So Justin Timberlake was tweeting about it. Anna Kendrick actually did an amazing like little thread with her family. It was so cute of them all watching it together. So it was really a great moment of, you know, we had our press, we had our talent, we had influencers, we had celebrities, everyone was kind of watching it at the same time, and it kind of created a sense of community. And it was really kind of what everyone needed in that time. So it ultimately was extremely successful. And for some reason, I can't see the far right where the trends, but I'm pretty sure in the US, we actually were able to trend number 2 and 11, which was an organic double trend. Like the number 2 was Trolls World Tour, and then the number 11 was hashtag Trolls World Tour. So there was like 2 separate trends on Twitter that we created that was actually really, really exciting. And we were also number 2 in LA. So it was really successful, and everyone was really happy about it.
Cool. And just real quick, I think either Tyler or Trevor mentioned it. The movie is a symphony project. So what's great about NBC Universal and Comcast is our company includes like E, Bravo, Golf, USA, Sci-Fi, Telemundo, Universal, Today Show, all that. So they all helped promote the movie, which was so great. A couple examples, we animated trolls into the voice chairs as they turned around. We did a post, Bravo did a post with Poppy on the Watch What Happens Live show with Andy, with Andy Cohen, and we put Queen Barb, the villain in the movie, in the intro with the Real Housewives of New York, I believe. Yeah, so just some fun stuff. And that's it for that. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we can go to these questions in the chat. Okay, let me make sure I'm looking at this correctly. Okay, cool. Let's see. Oh my gosh, there's a lot in here, you guys. Okay, so let's see. Lauren May, you said you mentioned trying to amplify Black journalists during the Queen and Son media campaign. What does the mission towards intersectionality look like in marketing in general? I think this is a good, so we have, it might have been one of the first of its kind at a studio. We have a multicultural marketing team, and they are amazing. They handle Black press, Latino press, and you know, just a lot of press of color. And basically on almost every movie, they're tasked with getting the movie in front of the press, getting the actors of color, you know, press for the film as well, and just really making sure our movies aren't just reaching like just a white audience, to be honest. And Spanish moviegoers are actually a huge part of the audience that goes to a lot of our movies. And so it's really important to serve those communities, especially on something like Fast 9. I would say the diverse cast and the diverse audience members, you know, need to be served equally as well. So hopefully that kind of answered your question. Trevor, I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, it's just for me, obviously, I'm always very, very closely aligned with our multicultural team, and I'm constantly talking to them about how we're positioning a film and like certain press that we're going out to, because, for example, like a Huffington Post has like a specific vertical called Black Voices. So it's like making sure either myself or them are in touch with them, and also, you know, that we're talking to the general press, but also to specifically to Black press as well. Also, like BuzzFeed is another example. Like BuzzFeed has so many writers, and they have like specific culture writers that we want to make sure that like everyone is getting a chance to cover the film equally, that they're getting to see the film, and that the right people are able to cover the film. But we're incredibly lucky to have our multicultural team, and just to make sure that we're always closely aligned with them.
Cool. The next one was, what resources, books, people should we look out for that we recommend to learn more about marketing? Ooh, and even more specifically, film marketing. That's a good question. I feel like all the books right now, I've been so focused on like Black authors specifically and like fiction. So I'm not in like the marketing book mindset, but I would definitely say Fast Company and Adweek are great online resources to see what is going on in marketing. And I follow a lot of film press on Twitter. And so that's actually, unless it's like a Universal movie, and I follow a lot of studios too, if you follow their handles, that's how I actually know about a lot of film news and TV news specifically. Tyler or Trevor, do you want to chime in?
In terms of podcasts, the one film podcast that I listen to is on the Ringer Network called the Big Picture Podcast. and it's with Sean Fennessy and other hosts kind of come on. Amanda Dobbins is the other like main host that usually speaks with Sean, and it's just they're always kind of analyzing what's going on in the film industry, talking about movies. We actually work with them a lot they're specifically interested in like any type of awards films or speaking with directors of some of our movies. So, but they also just talk about what's going on in the industry. So that they're a great podcast that I listen to. Also, like, I feel like I'm sure every student on this call has already read this book, but The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell is still, I think, one of the best books that I've ever read. And just if you haven't read it, I definitely recommend reading that, because there's just a lot of examples that you wouldn't really think apply to marketing, but they really do. So that's a great read.
How do we stay in the know? For example, keeping up with gaming platform or social media platforms. Yeah, that's a good question. I know as a team, we get bogged down when we get so busy. It's hard to lift your head up and see, oh, what are other brands doing, or what's happening? What's the trend on Twitter right now, or what's, and so what's great is we have a summer intern every summer, and we have a page, which is, it's a program at Universal that other studios have too, where you get in and then you get to work. We spend like 3 months in a rotation. Every 3 months you get to change and work in a different part of the studio. And so we definitely rely on them. And I know I rely on the younger people in our group to like inform us of what's going on. And it's tough. There's so much going on out there.
Yeah. We also have meetings, like monthly meetings with all the platforms. So we'll have like a Twitter monthly meeting, Facebook/Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok now, and they give us like the main updates, what's going on, like new platform updates that they're doing, what's trending, just so we can stay on top of it. We also individually focus on certain things. So like for me, I have Reddit, and I have monthly meetings with Reddit where they update me on everything going on with them. And yeah, just staying up to date on that. And then just honestly, just going on the platforms just like you guys do, just that helps so much on this job. Like probably the biggest thing you can do is just being active on Instagram and Twitter and these platforms, just to know what's trending and what's going on. And because it's always changing,
That was the biggest thing that I was going to say, is just actually use the platforms. I feel like there's some people who are like, there's always somebody who's like, I don't understand TikTok. What's TikTok? But then they like try and give suggestions on like what to do or how to market TikTok. But it's like, you can't really understand the platform, unfortunately, unless you like actually like live with it, unless you're on it yourself. So like, that's the best way, is just to be on those platforms. And you can also see what other companies are doing, what other studios are doing, what brands are doing. So, there's often in marketing, like we all build on each other's campaigns, and like you could apply what's, a tactic that another studio did for one film and kind of change it up, flip it on its head, but then apply it to your campaign. And just, we can always build on each other. So it's seeing what other people are doing and what's new on that platform just by using it yourself.
Let's see. Do you have any advice for seniors who had been planning on moving out to LA post-grad? Is it worth looking into opportunities starting in the fall? Oh man, I wish I was psychic and could answer that. It's so tough, because I know exactly for the movie business, for example, our movies are just now going like back into production. Like Jurassic World is probably the first movie of ours that's going back into production, and that's in London. But so I don't even know how to answer that. It's such a good question. It's tough because I don't know how many places are hiring right now, to be honest, because again, like, especially in entertainment, if, they need production to go back in order for product to go out, in order for us to like have something to market. And so I would say hopefully in the fall. I do want to say too, I think one of the other questions they asked about internships, and I know unfortunately a lot of those got canceled. We actually, in the marketing department, decided to keep our summer intern. And so she's a virtual intern. So she goes to all of our meetings virtually. She brainstorms with us virtually and everything. And it's tough because our interns last summer, they got to go to the Good Boys premiere, and they got to go to our press junket and like meet Justin Timberlake and all that. And, all that really fun stuff that we can't do now. But yeah, so I don't know. I would say to maybe wait, just because I don't know how many places are hiring right now.
The one thing that I would say is just keep following what's going on in the industry. Like obviously we're taking it day by day, but just see what's going on, and also like follow up with any contacts that you guys have made, or if you were going to have an internship or like something in LA, like stay in touch with those people. And also like if you, for example, if we had already connected and like Trolls was coming out, like message us, email one of us about Trolls and be like, hey, saw you guys did this, Tiny Diamond's Twitter Q&A. I thought it was great. Like just stay in touch with people. Or if you have the right relationship with someone where you can like send them an idea or like something that, you think that would a way to reach college students during a quarantine, like, don't be shy, like keep up those relationships, because once everything kind of goes back to normal or as close to it as it will, people are going to be hiring again. And like the person that reached out to them and sent them a killer idea, or just that is still kind of talking to them, is going to be top of mind.
And I would say too, LinkedIn, I'm terrible at LinkedIn, but I know it is a social platform. Even I've had so many Duke students and people reach out just to do an informational interview or just like ask me questions. And, it doesn't even have to be me. It's just someone else in another industry you're interested in. I think reaching out and asking if you could do like a quick phone call or something just to pick their brain, I think it's another way of networking that I need to get better at, but I would say use LinkedIn as well. Let's see, what kind of budget did your team get to work with in order to advertise Trolls? How do you go about allocating those funds? We can't really say what our budget was, but I would say like percentage wise, I don't have the plan in front of me, the media plan, but it's probably about, they usually do majority of it, like maybe 60-70% towards like TV, probably less than that, maybe. Normally, people still watch TV. They still do a lot of integrations on, with TV commercials, and have like the Real Housewives do something with the cast and all that. And then the rest of it to digital. I don't know how the budget changed again when we had to pivot to on demand. I know big focus was, we still had TV advertising, but a big focus was digitally, because that's how you were going to consume the movie. So a lot of attention went to display, like ads, just like with the messaging, watch it at home, click here to see where you can watch it and all that. And but it varies by movie, I would say. For us, go ahead, Tyler.
I was just say, I was about to just chime in on that. Like it can vary very much by title. Like there was this movie Black Christmas, which was a Blumhouse movie, very much geared towards younger people and teens that are spending all their time on digital. So when we know it's a movie like that, that's a lot of the times where digital will get the lion's share of the budget. And so for that movie, I think it was even more than that. It might have been 80% digital. And so that was cool for a movie like that too, like a small budget movie, because they were able to do like fun activations and cool stuff around here. They did a really cool pop-up activation in LA where they had like influencers and people come in and do like this whole room where they had like photo ops and then like axe throwing and just like cool like stuff that was kind of related to the movie, but more so just like a fun time and good photo ops that people could share digitally. And it had all the thematic elements of Black Christmas all around that event. But stuff like that, it's cool when we get the, budget more in our favor, because we can do more stuff like that.
Which platform do you find gets the most engagement for animated movies versus non-animated? Well, that's a good question. I would say it's more based on audience. So if like we're trying to reach parents and the slightly older audience, we would definitely do a lot of media around Facebook, for example, because that's where it tends to be a slightly older audience there. Whereas Instagram is, based especially from you guys telling us you use it a lot. That's where the younger audience tends to live, is Instagram. Snapchat too tends to be a slightly more female, younger audience as well. So it really depends on the type of movie and who we're trying to market to. Like with this one, parent, it was almost like 4-quadrant, like everybody, parents, kids, tweens, teens. So it totally depends on the audience. And we segment our media where we'll have certain social pieces and videos that we know are, we know this scene, for example, like parents really love this moment or this line from the movie. So we'll make content that, and then we'll like, when our media team is doing their buys and they're promoting the post, we'll say, hey, make sure this piece is going to this specific audience. Whereas like this moment with like, like on TikTok, our ads on TikTok, we made sure we included actual like real life Justin Timberlake behind the scenes pieces, because we're like, oh, it's like very heavily music based platform. Let's make sure we have Justin in there. And so, yeah.
There's a couple, I think, at least in this chat, that we could probably do pretty quick and answer. The one about if we're actually making and producing the content, typically the studios will oversee it because we just have so many projects we're working on. We don't really have the time always to sit there on Photoshop and Premiere and physically edit. So we're working on multiple movies at a time, many different platforms. So we'll hire a bunch of different agencies and vendors, which also, if you're looking for jobs, that's a great place to start. You don't have to just apply and look at the studios like the Netflixes, Amazons, Warner Brothers, Universal. You could look at some of these creative agencies, and that's a really great place to start because you really get your hands dirty working on actually creating the assets and, sitting in Premiere and sitting in Photoshop and doing that, especially if that's what you love to do. That's where the agencies really are doing that work, and we're kind of the creative directors telling them kind of what to do and just working with them. But for like me and like other people, there are still opportunities in the studio. If you want to create stuff, like they very much welcome that. And so if you have the time, like you're more than welcome to just create some assets yourself and see if you can use those. And then,
We definitely relied on Tyler a lot, especially for Queen and Slim. There was this really cool Megan Thee Stallion song that he was obsessed with, and he actually cut some really cool content with it that we used in our campaign. And just, sorry, I wanted to jump back just to the question about resources. We were mentioning LinkedIn and all that, and also the Demon Lounge and the Duke Alumni Network. Obviously, please utilize that. I don't even think it was as robust as it is now when I was in school. So definitely, look to the alumni at Duke as well. I just closed the chat. Sorry.
Are all Universal shows Symphony amplified? No. So only the big titles get that Symphony support typically. So like DreamWorks movies, Illumination movies, basically all of those will get some sort of Symphony. There's different levels, I think gold, platinum, silver or something. And that just means how much support you're going to get, how much that net is going to be cast. And so, but like the smaller Blumhouse movies and those won't get the same Symphony support. King of Staten Island ended up getting Symphony support because it's a Judd Apatow movie and they really wanted to push it forward and thought there was some good potential for it because it is a quality movie and because it was one of the only movies coming out for a decent amount of time for Universal. So they could afford to have all the, sister companies go all in on it.
Cool. And I guess we can answer one more. I know we're past 6 o'clock. This last one, what would you say is the most important element of a film's marketing campaign? Or would you say that all components are necessary? That's a good question. I would say, I guess I would say all the components. I know that the trailer is the piece of content that is the most seen and the most shared and the thing that you're going to see in the theater in front, as a trailer. So I would definitely say the way you kick off your campaign is so important in having a really, really strong trailer, which are AV team cuts. And then if it's something like a franchise like Fast and Furious or Jurassic or Minions, it's serving those fans is really important, like giving them the short form content, little nuggets that they can like and have them sharing your content. That's important as well. And then, everything like Publicity. I remember there was a Paul Rudd movie. It might have been Ant-Man or something. I had no interest in it. And then I saw him on The Tonight Show and I was like, I'm in love with you. I want to see everything. And so, I would say that's important as well. I don't know if Trevor, if you want to chime in, or Tyler.
No, I think you answered it like perfectly. I think the biggest, it's kind of all components and it's just making sure that you have like a unified campaign and like you're touching all of these various facets and bringing it all together and not, I think when you rely too heavily on one avenue or one path, like you kind of miss the mark. So it's just making sure that it's a fully unified campaign.
And just to add on that, the importance of digital is just because, yes, the trailer sets the tone and will get most of the eyes for the most part, but a lot of the time people aren't watching that whole trailer. So it is very important that's where our jobs come in to like really grab your attention within like the first 6 seconds or something, which trailers don't always do. They will typically have a slow burn, start on a wide shot. So I think as far as digital goes and social, I think since it is growing and everybody is on Instagram, those cut down pieces are becoming more and more important because like even me, when I'm scrolling through my feed, I'm not always stopping on every asset I see unless like the first couple seconds grab me. And especially if the piece says that it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I'm probably like, maybe watch that later on YouTube or something. But I think there is a big importance in the cut downs and just being able to tell a narrative and grab the attention in 6 seconds or less.
Cool. You guys, thank you. So you can see there's links posted in the chat. So you can watch past Demon Live episodes, and you can stay tuned for new episodes from DukeCreate and Demon Live, including with Revolt TV on activist journalism, which is very important right now. And my friend Datavio, who is class 2002, I believe, is going to be on that one as well. So stay safe, and thanks, you guys.